everyone, I am Kimberly, the 5-Minute NP. The 5-Minute NP was born out of my belief that small, incremental changes can drastically change the trajectory of your life. Our genes do not have to determine our lifespan. My goal through this podcast is to act as a roadmap that bridges the gap between knowledge and action, leading to you living your healthiest, happiest, longest life. Welcome to the 5-Minute NP podcast. Hello, everyone. I cannot wait to share this episode with you. I feel fortunate I was able to interview Natalie Clays, director and facilitator at Allen Carr Easyway. Natalie was addicted to smoking from the age of 15 until 35 years old. She tried every method possible, like so many others, to quit, but nothing worked. She was desperate to quit, but it wasn't until she attended an Allen Carr seminar that she was able to finally break free. One session, and she was done with cigarettes. Allen Carr made such an impact on her life that she went on to leave a 6-figure income job to become an Allen Carr therapist, then starting her own seminars in Australia, New Zealand, and most recently in the United States. She moved here to carry on Allen Carr's mission to rid the world of addiction. She shares the mindset of the smoker and anyone with addiction, the lies they tell themselves, and finally that the power to quit lies within rather than some alternative method. She shares such powerful information and life perspective. Allen Carr's Easyway is for anyone wanting to break free from an addiction, and she gives great insight on how truly easy it can be with this method. You don't want to miss this impactful interview. Also, I want to invite each of you to join me on social media at the 5-Minute NP, as well as join my Facebook group. Enjoy this episode and welcome to the 5-Minute NP podcast. All right. Well, hi, Natalie. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Kimberly. Thank you so much for having me.
I feel like it's a privilege. I had, the great opportunity to meet John Dicey, the global CEO and senior therapist at Allen Carr, which is how I met you. So he told me great things about you and how you are just the one to go to about smoking.
Okay. Well, thank you, John. I guess having been a smoker myself, I know all about it, having done it for 20 years. So that's how I got my experience through being a smoker myself.
Well, that's why I feel like today is going to be so helpful. I feel like your story will resonate with people. People will be able to relate to it. And really, it's going to be such a great thing to talk about, just like how not only Allen Carr, changed your life, freed you from smoking, but it also gave you a wonderful career you're passionate about.
I've been doing this now I joined the organization in 2004 and it's, what are we now, 21. And I still feel so lucky that I get to do a job that I still feel excited to get up to do every single day. I don't think many people have that. And I feel very blessed and privileged. And yes, it was life-changing, not just in quitting smoking, but just changing my entire direction in life.
Yeah.
And bringing me here to America.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait to talk about that as well. I really kind of want to start. I think it would be kind of a good lead in to just kind of dive into the mind of the smoker. I personally don't smoke, but obviously I take care of a lot of patients that do. My family, my mom smoked a ton. So I would see her struggling with it, and it became so limiting in her life. As the rules kind of got stricter and stricter for smokers, it got to where, she didn't want to leave the house to go to a movie because she couldn't get out and smoke. And it's just very restrictive and limiting. But yes, it's an addiction. So it's, obviously hard to stop. So I really kind of wanted to start with some of maybe the internal battles that smokers go through, maybe some of the lies that we kind of tell ourselves about smoking. And I thought, Allen Carr's famous book, The Easy Way to Stop Smoking, obviously has sold millions and millions of copies. And I thought it would be good to just mention that in the book, he says something like to this point. He says, we look to the cigarette for every emotion we're having, whether it's, we're depressed, we're sad, we need a cigarette. We're angry, we're mad, we need a cigarette. If we're happy and we want to celebrate, we need a cigarette. So really, it just seems like so much power is actually given to the cigarette.
That's such a good point. If you ask 10 smokers why they smoke, you'll get 10 different answers. You know, it relaxes me, it relieves stress, it helps me concentrate, boredom, habit, social, I love it, I hate it, I don't know. And you'll get all these different answers. And what we say is, well, how can this one thing do all these different things? If I tried to sell you, you know, a bottle of pills, these magic pills that I claimed did all these different things that were so very, very different and complete opposites, you'd think that's ridiculous. You'd think I was, you know, a con artist. Yet with cigarettes, we believe it because we've been brainwashed from an early age by, you know, by society, by the movies, by our parents, by our peers, to believe all this stuff. But really, the claim they make is quite impossible because the manufacturers claim it does all this stuff that is so completely different. And how can that one item, you know, how can it do one thing in the morning yet something different by the evening? You know, in the more the claims we make are just quite ludicrous. But as smokers, we believe it. We believe all that stuff because the addiction just takes over. Everything as a smoker, everything you do revolves around that one little magic stick, and you give it so much power and so much control. And you truly believe as a smoker that you cannot enjoy life without it, that life will never be quite the same again, that you'll be miserable, that you'll feel deprived. So before we even attempt to stop, we go into it with this overwhelming expectation of failure and of misery. It's awful. It's horrible.
Yeah. And really, you know, I read in your work, you know, yeah, you having all of these things that you're, you know, you look to this one thing to do, but actually it does the opposite. I mean, physically, it's not calming you down. It really adds stress by raising your blood pressure, your heart rate, emotionally, you know, you're worrying about getting a cigarette all the time. When am I going to get my break? Where am I going for the break? And the anxiety and guilt over it. So actually it creates all of these other not so great feelings.
It works in reverse. It basically does the opposite of what you think it's doing. So it causes anxiety, it increases your stress levels. It's pretty boring, to be honest, as well. But we're tricked into believing that it does all these marvelous things. But the truth is, it actually does the opposite. And it kind of attaches itself to your life situation. So, you know, for example, if you're having a really, really bad day and a difficult time, and you're a smoker, then you go into withdrawal in that difficult time, and you'll give the cigarette the credit for relieving your stress. But if you had a cigarette when you're having a really, really good day, you'll say, oh, this one's sociable or relaxing. So it's really attaching itself to the addiction, attaches itself to the back of your life. So you're always withdrawing no matter what you're doing in life. But ultimately, all you're really doing when you light up is relieving the withdrawal from the last cigarette, but giving it the credit for all these other marvelous things that it just simply doesn't do.
Right. Well, with that, I would just love to start, you know, just hear a little bit about your story, what life was like for you as a smoker, how long you smoked, and then kind of lead into those that don't really know who Allen Carr was, and how you found your way to one of his seminars.
Yeah, I started. So my mum and dad, everyone in my family smoked. Everybody, mum, dad, nan, granddad, auntie, uncle, everybody, and to the point where I would even light my dad's cigarettes as a kid because it seemed so normal back then. He'd smoke in the car, and I would light. You know, I remember being 8 years old and lighting my dad's cigarettes, and it seemed quite normal. So it was probably inevitable that at some point I was going to try it for myself. That was when I was 15. I was at school, you know, and trying to be cool and grown up, and I tried smoking, and in reality it was absolutely disgusting. It was just awful, but I persevered. I continued. I taught myself to smoke, and then I can remember even as young as 19 years old having my first attempt at quitting. I was 19, so even then I had it in my head I wanted to get rid of it, and it was a nightmare. I remember, you know, back in those days you could smoke you know, anywhere pretty much, you know, at work, I'm in the pub. And I can remember going to a pub with some friends one night and having my, you know, quit smoking effort, and it was just absolutely unbearable. It was just horrendous. And I was there just so filled with anxiety and just couldn't enjoy myself. So, you know, the attempt lasted all of, you know, 2 hours. And then subsequent attempts over the years and trying all the usual methods that we're told about. I tried the patches and the gum and inhalers and tablets and cold turkey, 3 hypnotherapists, acupuncture, I mean, everything. I tried everything. And it was always the same experience, just feeling lost, feeling empty, feeling deprived, feeling miserable. And you think, I can't live like this. And so because we feel so miserable, then we think the cigarette's helping us feel good, which of course it's not. So I tried everything. And the longest I managed was, and this is seriously true, like a day and a half, probably the worst day and a half of my life, a day and a half just desperate for a smoke. I would feel obsessed. I would feel consumed by it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so then it was just too unbearable. So I just then would think, oh, I can't do this, and go and buy a packet. 20 years I smoked. So from 15 to 35. And so my longest time was a day and a half. And then somebody gave me the book, a friend, by this time I'd moved from the UK to Australia, job related, and a friend from the UK was visiting, and she said, you've got to read this book. And so I read the book and I smoked all the way through, as Allen tells you to, and I probably had a bit of an epiphany. I did it so long ago I can't remember, but anyway, I stopped for 3 months. And it was the first time in my life I hadn't wanted to smoke, the first time in my life I just wasn't a smoker, and it was actually easy. And it was 3 months of just thinking, this is amazing, this is so easy. I think what I realized is I didn't fully understand it, because 3 months into it, I went on holiday and thought, oh, I might just have a smoke. I might just smoke on holiday. You know, I've done it now. It's easy. I don't smoke anymore. I'll just have the one. And of course, the one was a packet, and then another packet. I was basically back to where I started. Back on a pack of the day, and then thinking I'd had this one chance at not smoking, and then I was sort of back in it again. I don't want to diss the book, because the book was amazing, but I needed more help than that. I read the book twice more, and everything Allen said spoke to me. It was like, this guy is just this is so me. But I still was kind of smoking, and it wasn't really gelling. So a friend, I was in the pub one night, smoking away, drinking, and a friend came in and said, Nat, I've just done this seminar, amazing, you got to do it. And I was so over it. I was just so tired of being, I had this tug of war of, I love smoking, but I hate being a smoker, which is what most smokers have. It's like, we don't want to be smokers, but we think we enjoy smoking. So we have this battle. But I was just over it enough to decide I had to do something about it. So when I was living in Sydney, Australia, and the only place in Australia where they did the seminars was Melbourne, which was a flight away, but I was pretty desperate. So I phoned up, I got the next appointment, which was 2 weeks, and I thought, I couldn't believe I had to wait 2 weeks. Like, I just wanted, I want it now, I want to be rid of this now. And I had to wait 2 weeks to get in, and I was almost cried. Anyway, I booked my plane ticket, I flew. It was like one of those trains, planes, and automobiles, it was like I had to get a taxi, then a flight, then a train, then a bus, then a taxi, then it took me hours to get there, but I was pretty keen and determined. I sat for the seminar. This was down in Melbourne, Australia, in 21st of June 2003, and I can honestly say I didn't think it would work, because I couldn't imagine life without cigarettes. I felt I was giving up my best friend. I felt I was giving up this thing that helped me with every situation in my life. So I went along anyway, sort of open-minded, and you smoke all the way through. So we're having smoke breaks all the way through, and you get to the final cigarette, and I'm thinking, okay, I guess I'll just do what I'm told. And I smoke the final cigarette, and I'm looking at it thinking, I didn't really know how I felt. I know everybody wants, when they come to the seminars, everyone wants an epiphany, and I didn't have that. I just sort of thought, well, I'll just see how I go. I'll see how I go. I left not feeling excited, not feeling confident. I just thought, I'll just see what happens next. And nothing happened. I just didn't smoke. And it was that simple. And I often describe it as the biggest, non-event of my life, because there was no, oh, hallelujah, I'm free. And there was no, light bulb moment. I just didn't smoke. I thought about it, but only in a way, almost like another person looking at it outwardly, kind of. I was able to look at it with a different frame of mind, a different understanding, and a different way of seeing it. Not as something precious and something that was my friend, but something pointless, just something pointless. I thought, well, why would I want to do that? Like, why would I even want to do that? So even though I thought about it, I thought about it very differently. It was just like, it's just so pointless. And it was easy. It was easy. And then that was in June 2003. And 3 months went by without even really giving it another thought. And I just kept thinking, I just can't believe this. It was so easy. It was so easy. And I was in Sydney, and I'd had to, to fly to attend the seminar. And I just kept thinking, I can't believe there isn't one of these in Sydney. Like, why isn't one of the people need this in Sydney? Why isn't there one? And I thought, well, maybe I could do that. Maybe that could be me. And I contacted. I got in touch with John at. In London and told my story and signed up. And that was, I joined in 2004. I ran my very first seminar in Sydney in June 2005. Very nervous, but now 2021, still doing it. And it still lights me up. I still feel like it's my calling, and best thing I ever did, life-changing. And of course, now bringing it here.
Yeah. Well, you say it was just so easy, but that was like mental, it seems like. During that time when you just didn't smoke, did you still have those physical withdrawals?
Yes. So I explain it as withdrawal being one thing and craving being something different. So you see, what we're led to believe by society is that smoking is, the physical withdrawal is so terrible. It's not, it's barely even noticeable. So if you think of the addiction as being 1% physical and then 99% mental, you still go through withdrawal of the drug. The drug has still got to leave your body and you have to withdraw. And that's this little sort of empty feeling. But the mental side is the desire to smoke. And that's what I call the craving. The craving is a desire. So I left and I still withdrew from nicotine, but I had no desire to smoke. So the 99% mental had been totally changed in that I saw no good reason to smoke. See, what Allen talks about, it's not all the reasons why you shouldn't smoke, which every smoker knows. It's you're left with no reason to carry on doing it. None of it's about why you shouldn't. It's not new information. It's like, why would I? Why would I want to do that? So yes, I went through withdrawal, but I didn't crave it. And so withdrawal was just a sort of slight empty feeling that made me aware of it. But because I'd had such a mindset change mentally, I just saw it differently. And there was no good reason to want to light up. There just wasn't a reason to do it. And so there was no battle. The battle previously had been, I enjoy it. Whereas all of a sudden I realized you don't enjoy it. You're only doing it to feed the addiction. You're only doing it to replace the empty feeling the last one left you with. That's pointless. So the battle was removed by the seminar. And I thought about it, but in a oh, thank goodness I don't do that to myself anymore.
I think something I heard you say that was funny, and I think people who smoke have probably heard this. And when I heard you say it, I thought, people think smokers are weak, but in reality, they're strong-willed. Because if you go back to a cigarette after the first time when it tasted terrible, you coughed, you felt awful, but then you go at it again, it's like, no, you're really a strong-willed person.
Yeah, the weak ones didn't go back for seconds. It was the ones who were stronger and resilient and determined. It was awful. Right. I coughed my guts up and I went back to try it again to prove that I could do this. I have a brilliant story of one of my clients, and this is back in Sydney many years ago. And he ran out of cigarettes one night, and it was 2:00 in the morning, throwing it down with rain. And he cycled 7 kilometers in the pouring rain at 2 a.m. to buy cigarettes. That is not a lack of willpower. That's an incredibly determined, committed individual. There's nothing weak about that. The lengths they'll go to.
Right. I just thought that was great to hear you say that. Another thing, it's true. All of the detriments to health, smokers know, and it reminds me of a stop smoking campaign I did while I was in NP school. Canada and other countries had tried to use graphic pictures of what happens when you smoke on their boxes. I mean, you might have seen them, and it was, somebody dying of lung cancer, another person was dead, but they had the open heart surgery scar, and just awful pictures trying to deter people from wanting to smoke. And I thought, none of that probably worked. I don't know how successful it was, but like you say, smokers know how bad it is for them, but they do it for other reasons.
All those ad campaigns do is instill fear and anxiety. And the first thing you do as a smoker when you feel fear and anxiety is reach for a cigarette. So they really don't work. They really have the opposite effect. As smokers, we'll block our minds to that stuff. We'll just shut it out. We don't want to hear about it. But they basically just instill fear, anxiety, and that makes you want to smoke even more.
Yeah, I just remember that. I was like, wow, it seems like from a non-smoker, it would seem so impactful. But then like all these other things that you say, it's like, we smoke for other reasons. And, we're taught, you need to educate people at every visit. You need to tell them to stop smoking. And I really, what I've been doing is telling him what John said. It's like Audible, you can download the book, your first one for free, and listen to it. So I give them that tip as hope, and just understanding that it's not that easy. So how is Allen Carr's method different from the other methods?
I guess every other method focuses on all the reasons why you shouldn't smoke. All the bad stuff. They tell you why you shouldn't do it. Well, every smoker knows that. So there's two ways it's different. Firstly, it really focuses on why you do smoke rather than why you shouldn't. And then dispels all those reasons, those beliefs. Because people might say, well, it relaxes me, it relieves stress, and we prove it doesn't do those things. And then secondly, it addresses the psychology behind smoking rather than just the physical addiction. So you think about, most people would probably have tried patches at some point. What a patch will do is continue to feed you nicotine, but not change your mindset either. So not only is it's addressing the physical, but it's not changing this. And you go into it still thinking you're still focusing on all the reasons why you shouldn't smoke, all the bad stuff. So Alan's method will focus on not why you shouldn't, but why you do, and then give you no reason to do it, but also just the only method that really addresses your way of thinking about it and the psychology behind it.
Yeah, I heard you say that it doesn't, the other methods like that, it just doesn't take your desire away for it. So it's probably why it fails. You still want it.
That's right. When I tried patches, in one of my thousands of failed attempts, I'd smoke while wearing a patch to get a double hit. I'd put the patch on, forget all about it, and I'd spend all day thinking about smoking, still desperate for one, right, and then light up with it on. So it doesn't change. They just don't change your desire to smoke. They don't remove that.
Wow. And famous people have used this method, right? Like stars have used this method to stop smoking.
Yeah, we've got loads of celebrities now. An awful lot of them are from the UK that we might not know over here, but in terms of who you know over here, I mean, Ellen DeGeneres, Pink, Ashton Kutcher, Nikki Glaser, James Spader, Angelica Houston, Anthony Hopkins, and so many more.
Wow, that's pretty.
They've all given their testimonials. We don't pay for that. It's just all sort of very them wanting to hopefully help somebody else and by giving them their success stories.
Yeah. What is the success rate overall, and do people tend to stick with it, quit for good?
We offer a money back guarantee. As far as I know, we are the only method or the only major smoking cessation program to offer a money back guarantee. And if we measure the success rate by the number of refunds given, then it's over 90%. So less than 10% of clients actually make a claim based on the guarantee. realistically, there'll be people who don't follow through, who don't come back. But there was a scientific study conducted a few years ago which said the success rate, even after 2 years, was over 50%, 53%, I think. Whereas, and this was people who didn't even pay for it themselves, who were, it was a work seminar. And you could compare that to, say, patches, which typically have about sort of like a 5 or 6% success rate, which, I would call a 94, 95% failure rate.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure it varies for everybody, but do you get many experiences where people go to the seminar and then that's it?
Oh yeah, the majority of people will do one session and walk away and never smoke again. A percentage will need more than one session. So we offer the full program's 3 different sessions, and you pay one price and it covers all 3. You do all 3, it's not working, you get your money back. So there'll be a percentage you'll need more than one session. Very, very few people need all 3 sessions. And as I said, less than 10% will make a claim based on that money back guarantee. I personally did just the one session. And even though I thought I already knew it, having read the book 3 times, I just did one session, 5-6 hours, walked away. I mean, the success rate's down to understanding it. Once you understand it, you'll never smoke again. So people need more help with it. It's just because something hasn't really gelled for them. So we do different sessions to try and explain it in different ways and to really make sure that it, gels for them. Because what you're telling them is something that is different to what they've been told before. They've been told all this stuff by the manufacturers, by society, by the movies, and we're saying, hey, actually, no, that's not how it is. It's different to that, and it requires being a little bit open-minded to actually be able to see the truth about it. So yeah, some people need more than one session for it to kind of gel, but that would be the minority. Most people just one session.
Wow, is pretty amazing.
It's awesome. It is amazing. And a lot of people, it's a real eye-opener because it's just, they haven't thought of it that way before. Yeah. People know maybe it's just a bad habit I got into. They didn't necessarily realize actually it's an addiction, but the addiction is just so psychological, and the physical side is just barely even there.
Wow. And it works with every kind of addiction.
Yeah, well, when Alan started, obviously, he was on the back of his own 100-a-day smoking career, and I guess years later, there was the realization was that hang on, this addiction works the same way. So whether it's for alcohol or for caffeine or for cocaine or for tech or various sugar, so yeah, the same principles can apply to any addiction, any drug addiction.
That's wild. So nowadays, how long is a session, and are they mostly online now?
Depends on the country. So in terms of the duration, session number 1 tends to go for about 5 to 6 hours. So I've been doing the sessions in Australia for sort of 15 years, and there we're now doing them in person in the room. But here in the States, we're doing everything by Zoom. That way, which we were doing before coronavirus, to be honest. We do Zoom seminars anyway, because that way anybody can attend, no matter which sort of far corner of the earth they are, they can get to it. But yeah, right now everything's by Zoom. But it's the same program, it's the same content, it's the same facilitator, it's the same success rate, the same guarantee. So it's lovely being in the room with people, but we find that the Zoom seminars are just as effective. They have the same effect. It's the same message.
Wow. Do you run the seminars? Is that what you do?
I do. Yes, I do. I don't do all of them. We have a team of facilitators who help me out, and every one of us was a smoker, by the way. So every one of us was a smoker, and every one of us quit this way, because you have to really understand it to be able to connect and empathize and help people. So we have a gentleman in Wayne in Wisconsin, and David in New York, and then my team back in Australia do seminars as well. But yeah, I do some of them, and I do quite a few of the second and third sessions with people who need a bit more help. So and I did one in I went to Arizona. I snuck in a little road trip to the Grand Canyon on the back of doing a seminar for some lovely ladies down there, and we're planning on doing Salt Lake City at the end of the month. So I plan to do as many of the in-person ones when we can myself, and it's also a really good excuse for me to go and travel the country. And I think I told you my goal is to tick off every state and try and see as much as possible. So
that'd be great to have a seminar here in Missouri. That'd be awesome.
That'd be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah, we'd love to. We'd absolutely love to.
So it's amazing how it's expanded. I mean, just to kind of give people an idea, like how many people have successfully quit smoking through this program?
It's very difficult to put a number on it, because obviously if you think about the seminars and the book combined, the book gets passed around, so we can only really base it on seminar numbers and book sales. But the estimated figure is it's an estimated 50 million people worldwide.
Wow, that's
we're now in 38 languages the book's been published into. So, and I've personally seen, I'm going to say, an estimated 10,000 smokers.
Wow, that's impressive. Wow. Well, before we go, I thought John Dicey wanted me to kind of share some life perspective that he thought would be really helpful for people. Just a different way of looking at things. So if you don't mind sharing that.
I don't mind one bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to twizzle my screen so we're facing the blue board. It's not a whiteboard, it's a blue board. And I have to say, I can't, as you know, I can't take credit for this. There's a gentleman called Brad Sugars, and he has a coaching business. And when I first started with the organization, I went to a couple of group coaching seminars, and they taught this, and I loved it. And I've tried to live my life by it every single day, and I even put it into the seminars a little bit. And it's called the line of attitude. We're going to just twizzle the screen, and we're going to hope we don't have a technical disaster here. I don't know how I'm going to do this with we'll try and do this with the whiteboard. Let's see how we go. So it's called the line of attitude, and it's really about how you live your life. And generally people will fall into there's above the line and below the line. Can we see that okay? Just about. And so generally people are one or the other. Now we probably all hop over and have good days and bad days, but it's really about our general attitude in life. And the people who live life above the line, they tend to take ownership. They're accountable, and they take responsibility. People who live life below the line, for them, life is more like they blame other people, they make excuses, and they're in denial. And if you look at both those sets of people and ask them, if you think about the characteristics or traits of this type of person, can you actually see that okay on the screen with me? If you think about the traits of these people and say, well, which one of the people like who live below the line, you'll generally find they're quite negative, often pessimistic. I mean, Kimberly, if I ask you, like people, if you know people below this line, how would you describe them yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Negative, nothing's ever going right, not a good positive outlook.
Yeah, they get a bit stuck in life. They usually
going right for them. Everything bad happens to them.
But not their fault.
No.
Not their fault. They're generally quite unhappy. They're generally quite unhappy. You don't really want to be around them. They can be quite draining with their sort of negativity. They can be quite draining to be around. Hard work, poor me, why me, not fair, that kind of attitude. Not happy people. And we kind of want to avoid them. And the one word I used to describe people like that is they have a bit of a victim mentality. Poor me, why me, not fair. And it's always somebody else's fault. And they just tend to get very stuck in life and generally not very happy. People who live life above the line, for them, it's more like they tend to be, they're usually quite optimistic, positive, they're enthusiastic, they're generally kind of quite, energetic. And I don't know about you, but I want to be around them. I want to be, because they make me feel better. They can be inspiring. We're drawn to them because of their, they're happy. And they're generally, as a result of all this stuff, they're usually more successful in life. And if down here, these people are the victims in life, up here, life is a victory for people above the line. They tend to be the victors in life. And it's all very much about attitude. I use this in my seminars. Don't tell John, it's not in the manual. And what I sort of say is people above the line, it's very much about attitude and it's about how we respond, how we react, how we behave, how we deal with stuff. And an example I often give is my husband got made redundant a few years ago. He worked for a big corporate and out of the blue redundancy. I'm not saying that's a good day for anybody. I'm not saying that's a good day, but there's ways of dealing with it. And so for him, it was, okay, that's beyond my control, but he decided to turn it into an opportunity. He said, we'll take the money, we'll take the payout, we'll do something good with it, have a holiday, start my own business, something really positive. But people below the line, for them, it was the end of the world. Poor me, why me, not fair. So it's about how we deal with stuff. So when you live above the line or function above the line, you tend to be in control. Because even though this stuff happens, bad stuff happens, we have complete control over how we decide to react, respond, behave. Whereas people below the line, when things are going their way, it's all well and good. When it's not going their way, it's poor me, why me, not fair. So they allow other people or situations or events to determine their happiness. So they're not in control. And the point I make with regard to addiction, with my smoking sessions is, with relation to smoking, where are they? Well, below the line, because they're victims, the tobacco companies. They're not in control. The cigarettes in control, the tobacco companies are in control, and that, they're in every other area of their life, they may be well and truly above the line. But in the case of smoking, they're well and truly below. And when they realize that this, this little stick, I don't have one to hand, this inanimate object, this stick of cigarette has controls them that much, it's a bit of I said, these are usually quite strong, confident people. When they see it that way, they're usually quite horrified, and it's quite powerful. But after I heard it myself, I try and live my life that way all the time. And no matter, so much right now for everybody, there's so much is beyond our control, so much going on out there with, the pandemic. And it's really about our attitude of how we choose to, there's nothing you can do about it. I can't change it. All I can control is how I respond or react or behave.
Right. Wow, that is so good.
Attitude.
It's nice. It's so wild. I was just listening to something this morning, and it's so wild that this person I was listening to said, when you live your life as a victim, blaming everyone, really it takes your power away. When you live your life with responsibility and ownership, you get your power back. If you're in control of your life, you're in control of your thoughts, it gives you power. Whereas the other just makes you weak. It takes your power away.
And it really is the difference between being happy and unhappy. It really is. I mean, when you live your life that way, you're just nearly always happy, because I don't know. I still have bad days and stuff doesn't always go to plan, but I just don't let it. It might get to me and I might dip below the line, but not for long, because it's just not a fun place to live, to be honest. I don't want to be down there. So, but you're right, it takes your power away, and it's draining down there. So may as well be above. because there's a lot of stuff we just can't control, but we can control our attitude and our behavior and our response.
Wow.
Thank
That's
you
so much for sharing that. That was awesome. Well, lastly, I want you to share Allen Carr's mission and what you're doing to continue that mission and the impact you hope to have on the world with your work.
Allen Carr's mission and legacy is to cure the world of addiction. It's as simple as that. We want to put ourselves out of business. We want to retire and put ourselves out of business and cure the world of addiction. I mean, nobody needs to be addicted to a drug. Nobody. And when you understand how drug addiction works, it's so easy to escape. So, the organization has spread through people like John, people like myself, people who were, clients ourselves who just found this overwhelming freedom. And we just want to tell the world and spread how easy it is and how nobody needs to be caught up doing it anymore. We're now in, I'm going to say, I think it's seminars and facilitators in 50 countries worldwide. And we work tirelessly to spread the word and to help as many people as we can. John's recently arranged a partnership with the World Health Organization on their 2021 Commit to Quit campaign. So we're offering our services there where we're helping, I believe it's 22 countries of countries where they might not have the same access to cessation methods that we're partnering there to help as many people as possible free themselves. But yeah, the legacy is to cure the world of addiction.
Wow, that's so good. Wow, I love that. How can people find out? I mean, how can people get in touch, sign up for a seminar?
Yes, our global website is allencarr.com, which is ALLENCARR.com. Or if you're in America, it's quite simple, USA.allencarr.com. Wow. And you can get in touch with us there. You can phone me directly. All the information's there, and we run weekly seminars, and wow. We'd love to help more people and spread the word.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you so much, Natalie. It's been awesome talking with you, and hopefully we can do it again. And I hope the message spreads and you guys just continue to expand and help as many people as possible.
Thank you so much for having me, Kimberly. It's been lovely. And I hope that people will just check out the website and just find out what we're all about, and hopefully, change some lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much.